young movement rising, stomping our feet, feel this traumatizing. To the beat of your heart, let the whole earth shake. To the ends of the world, your love we take. We are the young movement rising, stomping our feet, feel this traumatizing. To the beat of your heart, let the whole earth shake. To the ends of the world, your love we take. We are the young movement rising, stomping.
Have I done, but greater works shall ye do. GWC Ministries is a family-oriented ministry designed to teach God's Word. We share simplistic, practical teachings on who God is, why you are here, and where you fit in His plan. Our mission is to empower you to go forth and perform great works.
God bless you, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to E-Night is my night. Hashtag E-Night is my night. I'm so excited to have all of our E-Nighters out there, you that come and faithfully support us and join your community online empowerment Bible study every Thursday on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. And we are here tonight to have another exciting time where we're going to learn all that it takes to live a godly lifestyle, but exactly also to live a healthy lifestyle. This is our e-health night segment tonight. And one of the things we want to do is we believe that in the church as a body of Christ, we should be providing health and nourishment to the total body, not just the soul, but also to the body itself. So we dedicate one Thursday every month to what we call e-health night. And that is when we have a wonderful healthcare professional from the community come in and talk to us about those health issues, particularly that matter to us in all communities, but specifically in the African-American community, where sometimes we tend to think certain topics are taboo and shouldn't be talked about, or we just pray about them and keep it moving, right? Well, we like to try to flesh those out and give you some education, because listen, how many know faith without works is dead? We can pray about a lot of things, but God also gives us common sense too. And He gives us the ability and those in our community that can actually be a blessing to us in those health capacities. So I'm excited tonight to bring in our guest. She is the CEO of the Therapeutic Professionals out of Houston, Texas. She is my friend, my cousin, our family. She is actually my coach. She is the transformational coach, Mary Turner, registered nurse, and she is going to be our presenter, and she has a wonderful topic for us tonight. We're going to be talking about the heart of the matter, the art of CPR. And Mary Turner, our transformational coach, she is going to come and talk to us about that and kind of educate us in our community and in our churches on why we need to put CPR at the forefront of our minds. So can I have you all help me welcome Mary Turner? How you doing, Mary?
Fantastic, Pastor. So excited to be here. Thank you.
All right. Listen, before we do that, we've got a wonderful video we just want to show you so we can kind of set the stage, and she's going to come and talk to us about that.
When the time comes, we must be ready.
When every second counts.
Act fast.
Do not give up.
Push hard.
Keep pushing when it's all on the line.
Be there for each other. Be ready. Call 911. Be ready.
Be ready.
Be ready.
All right. Wow, Mary, that kind of sent chills through me right there.
Wow. As I watched that video, it just reminds me of the expression or the term stay ready. That way you don't have to get ready. So Pastor, tonight, if it's okay with you, I'd like to set the context for tonight's conversation. Would that be okay?
Please do. This is your opportunity. This is your platform tonight. Listen, everybody. Like I said, she's going to conduct a Q&A at the end, but feel free to put your comments and your questions in the chat, and our guest presenter will be happy to answer each of them. She'll answer them periodically throughout the discussion, and then make sure by the end of the discussion, if you all have any other questions or comments, she's going to answer them. So listen, I think this is a very, very, very important topic, and I'm so glad that we are having it, and we have a very qualified person who's been doing this for many, many years, and she knows what she's talking about. So please, you all, put your questions in there, comment. I'll make sure that they're on the screen so she can see your comments. So Mary, take it away. What are we talking about? The heart of the matter. Why is the art of CPR?
Okay, so we're going to be talking about the heart. We're going to be talking about CPR, but from a different perspective, Pastor.
Okay.
And yes, we're going to cover some of the basic skills. I'm going to do a demonstration, but I don't want anybody to miss the message tonight. And, you know, don't get me wrong, CPR skills are very important, but the message tonight is prevention first, preparation second.
Okay.
That's worth repeating. Prevention first, preparation second.
Okay.
Okay, so when I say preparation, if we do everything in our powers to prevent it from happening anyway, that's prevention. That's preparation. Doing everything in our power to prevent it from happening in the first place. Be ready. Okay? And then in the uneventful chance that it happens, we're prepared.
Mm-hmm.
We got the skills. We know what to do. We can go into action. But not just in CPR. You can fill in the blank. See, prevention first, preparation second is a way of life for me.
Okay.
So shout out to my cousin, India. She works for Fifth Third Bank. She's the vice president. And she might tell you as a way to do preparation is direct deposit your money, your paycheck into your bank account, as opposed to walking down the street with a check. And then be prepared to give them some proper identification when you want to withdraw the money.
Okay.
And you, Pastor, when you do marriage counseling, you might, do some counseling so people can be prepared for married life, as opposed to, preventing the divorce. You follow me?
Yep.
So you can fill in the blank. The thing is, preparation always comes before we go into action. You follow me? Prevention first, preparation second.
I like it.
And since February is American Heart Month, I thought it would be fitting to use CPR as our example, because we have an opportunity to raise awareness of heart disease and the importance of cardiovascular disease. So you have the power to take action to protect yourself against heart disease, small heart health actions, like, adding more movement in your day-to-day life or choosing healthy foods can have a big impact on protecting our hearts. See, the human heart is often used as a metaphor for our emotions, especially like fondness or love, right? And our congregation, we just concluded Love Month. And It was so nice, Valentine's Day, all the love in the air and all the married couples who had shared 30, 40, 50 years together, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to say something that most people probably wouldn't say. I'm going to put myself out on a limb.
Say it. Go ahead. We like that. We like that here.
I believe that we can prevent cardiac arrest if we understand it from a metaphysical standpoint. Like if we understood the truth, we had an understanding beyond our senses, we can prevent cardiac arrest. Louise Hay, she's my favorite female book writer. She has a book called You Can Heal Your Life. I highly recommend this book. And what she says is that the heart represents the center of love and security.
Okay.
That's what the heart does. It represents the center of love and security. And so you've probably heard the phrase before, listen to your heart.
Yes.
Yeah. It's used to represent things that you feel without considering logic, right? Or his heart was in the right place, or from the bottom of my heart.
Yes.
Or have you ever poured your heart out to someone? Or even had a change of heart?
Yes.
Yeah, so these are all things that kind of tickle at our feelings, our emotions, if you will. Have you ever had a heavy heart? Or even, hopefully not, a broken heart?
Yes.
See, many of us have closed off our hearts because of trials and tribulations, life, and we're scared because we don't want to get hurt again. So we close off our heart because it didn't feel good, right?
Right.
And I believe those are some of the things that really trigger some of the cardiovascular diseases that exist. It's a closed heart. And, you know, if we had more time, I'd probably go into how you would open your heart back up in a metaphysical way. But that's not for this conversation tonight.
Okay. But I like that.
Okay. See, when we were born with an open heart, the kindness towards others, the ability to love and have a life full of love, living our best life. And as we grow and get older and older, we start to close off our heart because of things that happen. And we start to hold on to things and withdraw from people. Those connections are no longer as tight as they used to be. And I believe it's the start of heart problems.
Wow.
Not living with an open heart. And, you know, the book, she goes into detail. She has a lot of probable causes for different ailments throughout the whole body, and then affirmations or words or things that we can say to change it. It's programming. I don't know if you've ever heard of the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza. I met him about 20 years ago at a church here in Houston called Unity.
Okay.
And so he was really, besides Louise Hay, he was the only other person that I ever heard address a heart problem in this manner, in a metaphysical way. And he talked about like the heart is a magnetic field.
Okay.
And he even talks about the brain, but basically it produces a signal, and it's been studied and scientifically proven. And he calls it the external magnetic field. And it's measurable, and it's what draws things to us. We literally have the power inside us to draw things to us and repel things away from us. And so that's for another day. But I just want to kind of open your mind to the possibility that we literally can prevent cardiovascular disease.
Now, glad to know that we can do that.
Yeah. Now, coronary heart disease is the leading cause of heart attacks. Coronary heart disease. And coronary heart disease basically is a condition in which the coronary arteries, which are the major blood vessels that supply the heart with blood, they become clogged up, you know, like a pipe, if you will. Like if you've ever had your sink stopped up, but only this is deposits of fat and things like that, cholesterol and other substances. Did you know in the United States, someone has a heart attack every 40 seconds?
Wow. So if I count to 40 right now, somebody's about to have a heart attack.
Absolutely.
Wow. That's stunning.
And every year, about 805,000 people in the United States have a heart attack, and 80% of those are first-time heart attacks.
Okay.
Now, just so you know, heart attack and cardiac arrest are terms that people use interchangeably, but they're not the same. So a heart attack, you can be alive and kicking, and you could have signs and symptoms. So like you could have chest pain or pain radiating down one of your arms. It's more common for it to be in the left arm, but it could be in the right arm. It could be in either arm. It could be in the back. Dizziness, sweating. Okay, that's a heart attack.
Okay.
So my stepmom, Bobby, she was in the car with my dad, and they were driving. They were in the desert in California somewhere. And they were in this long stretch of desert. And she kept saying, oh, my chest is hurting. My chest is hurting. And I don't know if you know anything about my dad, but when he gets in the car, he turns into an animal. He's got it timed. So he's got to get start to destination in a specific amount of time. And he will do everything to meet that. It's like a challenge, right? And
so no rest stops.
And when you go to the rest stop and fill up for gas, go use the restroom, get back in the car so you can go. This is not a time to relax. Okay. So they're driving, and she's like, my chest is really bothering me. And she's really laid back, and she doesn't really say a whole lot. She doesn't like to ruffle anybody's feathers. And so she doesn't like people to go out of their way for her, any of that. So she's sitting there in agonizing pain. And finally, she says, you know what? You got to do something. My chest is hurting. Wow. He goes to finds a hospital. The very closest one is the last one for about an 80-mile stretch.
Woo!
Thank goodness, because she was having a heart attack. She ended up having quadruple bypass surgery, and she's doing fine.
Praise God.
That's a heart attack, right? You can have a heart attack and not even realize that you've had a heart attack.
How do you know afterwards that you did?
Usually you have to go to the doctor, and they have to perform some tests, and they can tell you.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, cardiac arrest, that means your heart has stopped and breathing has stopped and you're unresponsive. And that is when we use CPR. CPR stands for cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Do you know what cardio means, Pastor?
That is is that your heart and your lungs?
Yeah. Cardio means the heart. When I go to the gym and I get my cardio workout on, I'm working my heart muscle. And pulmonary is lungs. So cardiopulmonary resuscitation, what does that mean?
That is being able to resuscitate them, bring them back, prevent them from having a heart attack.
Well, you're not going to prevent them, but you are going to bring them back. They're clinically dead, right? So you're going to revive them. You're going to bring them back. Nearly 400,000 people go into cardiac arrest in their house, at home, right here in the United States every single year. And about 80% of them die before they reach the hospital. What that tells me is CPR is crucial for each and every person to know in their house. And yet in most homes, there's not even one person trained in the life-saving skills of CPR.
Oh, that's terrible. That's tragic.
Yeah. And even at work, depending on where you are in the world, you might go to work and they may practice tornado drills or hurricane drills. Or I was in California last week and last month, and there was an earthquake both times. So they told us what to do in the event of an earthquake. But what happens when somebody collapses in front of you and they go into cardiac arrest? We don't get a whole lot of preparation for that. We don't get a whole lot of training on what to do. So can I ask you something, Pastor?
Please do.
If someone were to collapse in front of you, would you know what to do?
Well, I'll say this. I actually did. It was a few years ago, and I believe, of course, it's probably expired, and it certainly needs to be recertified. But I was over a men's ministry, and probably about maybe 4 or 5 years ago, we had the Gary Fire Department come to the church and conduct a CPR training at the church. And it was probably maybe about 8 or 9 of us guys that went through the training at that time and got our certification. Now, like I said, it's probably expired, but they did show us kind of what that looked like. I don't know that I could remember fully the correct way. I probably mess around and break somebody's rib cage, but I think I do understand the concept of it. But you can definitely help me out with that.
Okay, well, I acknowledge you for going and getting some training, and maybe it was a few years ago, but that's okay. You took some action in making sure that you're prepared in the event that something happens, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
My wife is indicating that that was kind of something I had a couple of small ones a number of years ago. I was having those type of bouts too, and as you know, her mom had several heart attacks and died of a major one. So we know this is a topic that's kind of near and dear. So I know what that's like, having the small ones. Thank goodness it wasn't massive, but it put me on this journey of trying to be more cognizant about my health.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the thing. Most people, they wake up after they've had some type of medical emergency. And see, there's a book by Steve-GWC called First Things First. And most of us, typically, we don't prioritize the things that are really, really important until something slaps us in the face and wakes us up, right? So it's after the emergency, it's not before. And Steve-GWC says important things don't act on us. We have to act on them.
That's good.
Yeah. So we know CPR is important, and we know it's important to plan for retirement, and we know this and we know that. And one day, because we're caught up in the day-to-day activities of everyday life, and we forget to prioritize the essential things, because important things don't act on us. We have to act on them.
Eric, can I ask you a question? And you can certainly save this for the end if you like, but we definitely have a question from Erica from St. Louis that she wants to ask you. She said, is it safe to begin an exercise regimen if you are having palpitations?
No, you don't want to begin an exercise regimen if you've not been on one and you have palpitations without approval from your doctor. See, I'm a holistic nurse, so I think that's the reason why I like the metaphysical aspect of it. And so oftentimes, I kind of lost my train of thought, the point I wanted to drive. I hope it comes back to me. But, oftentimes when we aren't exercising and we get ready to start exercising, we need to do a complete profile. And so I like even naturopaths or nurse practitioners that practice holistic healing, things like that, because they run different types of blood panels where regular doctors don't often run them. And they can pick up things that, maybe different nutrients that you need, supplements that you need that can help with the heart and other body functions.
Okay. All right. Good question, Erica. Thank you.
I remember when I was 5 years old, my brother, he loved to play baseball. And, he was a kid, so he was playing baseball. He hit the ball. He hit a home run. I wasn't there. This is the story that was shared with me. And he hit a home run. So he ran to first base and then second and then third. And he came to home plate, got his home run, dived in and didn't get up. And they thought he was joking at first, but he didn't get up. And later on, we found out he had a heart attack. And you just don't hear a lot about kids having more and more nowadays. You do electrolyte, all kinds of reasons why kids are having going into cardiac arrest. So that is the reason why I became a CPR instructor. Now, subconsciously, I knew that. But consciously, I didn't. I didn't know why I wanted to teach CPR, why it was so important. But it was because I lost my brother at a very young age.
We're so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, many years ago, and nobody knew CPR. And by the time the paramedics got there, it was too late. Too much time had gone by. You got about 4 to 6 minutes before brain damage sets in. So it's important to start CPR right away. Right. So what are some of the reasons why you think, people delay in getting trained in CPR?
You know what? Why don't we go ahead and address that to our viewers? So that's a very good question. So why do people delay in getting that training? And you know what? That actually kind of, while you guys are taking a moment to think about that and type your answer in, Mary, that actually kind of coincided with a question that I wanted to bring up as well is, let's see here. Okay. I kind of thought about this because as it relates to church, how important is it for the churches and faith-based organizations to know or have members who know CPR? So maybe there's not any programs out there. Maybe people are not bringing awareness like you're doing tonight. That's just some of the things. That was one of the things that I wanted to know. I'm like, hey, we got men in the church. If something were to happen, these men, we can't just be standing around looking, so I said, well, let's go ahead and just get CPR. So at least there's somebody in the church. And I know most churches tend to feel like the nurses that are on board, they're the nurses board. And I guess I kind of have to say this, no offense to nurses boards in churches. You do have some where they are actually real healthcare nurses. And then you may have some who just, get the water.
Yeah.
And so people might feel like, well, they got the nurse up there. That's what the nurse is for. I don't know. But we have somebody. We look like we got some answers. Let's see here. Let me see. So good to have our good friend Deb James from the Dementia Care Journey. She says people don't want to get involved. They don't want to make a mistake and possibly be sued. Wow, that's good. Let's see here. First Lady says that, let me see here. Okay, the comments are coming in fast now. All right, I'm gonna try to get to all of them. All right, First Lady says, scared that to hurt the person. God bless. Good to see Dr. Cynthia Hickman with us. She says, scared to learn the skill. Kimberly Neal says, poor time management. Maybe it's just, I just don't have time for that. Then we have, let's see here. She also said not prioritize. Connie says, do you always, okay, let me see. Let me put her star as a question. Erica says, not realizing how important it is. I was certified years ago, job requirement, and didn't renew. And then my good friend and my brother Will Davis, Will says, unfortunately, we're not taught this in our families and schools. We rely on contacting 911 in the event of an emergency.
Wow, those are really good. Really, really good.
All right. And then Connie has a question for you. She says, do you always have signs before the heart attack?
No, you can have sudden cardiac arrest. Person just drops in front of you. They're talking, boom, 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 and they go down instantly. And then you go down instantly and start performing CPR.
Okay. All right.
But CPR alone, you only have about a 65 to 70% chance of survival. You really need an AED. An AED stands for automated external defibrillator. And we'll talk about that in a little bit when I do the demonstration.
Okay. All right. Good question, Connie. Thank you.
Really good question. And so I think a lot of it has to do with what someone else said is perception of unlikelihood. It's a perception of unlikelihood. I call it the it won't happen to me syndrome.
That's good.
Because a lot of us, we walk around the earth like it won't happen to me. We see it happening to everybody else, but it won't happen to me. We got to snap out of that. Okay, so it is unlikely, but it's certainly possible. And when it does, it's a matter of life or death. So again, it's better to be prepared than to regret. And we don't get to choose the outcome. That's up to the creator. but we get to do high quality CPR if we are prepared.
Okay, good. All right. All right. So let's talk some more about that preparation. You have everybody's attention now, Mary. Everybody, they are at the edge of their seat. Okay. So let's talk some more about the preparedness.
Okay, so I'll tell you one of the ways to prepare is to just simply get trained and don't be afraid. Now, a lot of people mention the word scared. I saw that as a theme, like 5 or 6 different people had it in some way, shape, or form. Fear of this or fear of that. And that goes back to the metaphysical stuff that I was talking about. When we're young, we're willing to try anything. But when life beats up on us, we start to protect ourselves and we start to close our heart. And we're not as easily available to volunteer to do different things. So one of the things that we can do is just sign up for a class. Now, there are CPR programs that are free. Most of them you do have to pay for and get a certification. But it's anywhere between 2 and 4 hours of your time. And the certifications, if they're through American Heart Association, they last for 2 years. And then you go back again and you'll start to see a theme. Oh, I remember this. I remember that. And the way that I teach CPR is a little different than most instructors. I've been teaching for about 40 years. And I started many years ago when I was in the Air Force. And what I would notice is when people came back to me, they would say, Mary, this is what happened. This person did this and I did that. And I didn't know what to do. I froze or this. And I started to see that you're going to do one of 2 things in an emergency. You're going to react or you're going to respond. And whether you've taken CPR many, many times or not, some people still react instead of respond. I'm talking doctors, nurses, CNAs, CMAs, phlebotomists, they panic. And so critical thinking, I believe, is one of the best ways to learn CPR. That's how you prepare yourself. And when I say critical thinking, you understand the why behind what you're doing, as opposed to rote memorization. See, when you memorize something, you might remember it 2 minutes, 2 hours. Maybe if you got a really good memory, 2 weeks, 2 months. But when an emergency occurs, you just go blank and you start reacting. But if you learn critical thinking, you start to slow it down and you ask yourself, why am I doing this? And if you know the reason why, chances are you'll be able to remember more and more and more, because it should make logical sense. So the first step is assessment. It's always your assessment that tells you what to do. And if you want, I can start the demonstration now, or I can go through the steps and then show everybody.
Okay, let me get another question out here for you, and also a comment that was made that I think will raise the question. All right, so Erica wants to know, is there a big difference in giving CPR to an adult versus an infant?
Big difference. The science is the same, but landmarks, they're smaller, so you're going to do it a little bit different. Yeah.
Okay.
And I have the infant here. We can actually go through that really quick too.
Okay, good. All right. And then so glad to have Marquita with us tonight. Marquita says, she makes a point. She said nowadays, once a year doctor's appointments are not enough. And she's obviously reminding us that, of course, Jesus is our healer, but he also gave gifts to other servants to educate and help us. So while we are praying for the healing, he will use people with those skill sets to heal us, but we won't go to the doctor. So basically, I think what Marquita's saying is, how often should you go to the doctor if once a year is not enough?
Whenever you have a sign or a symptom. A sign or a symptom is something letting you know something is wrong. And oftentimes, again, we're scared. So we ignore it or we think it's going to go away. But the moment you feel something, if you have recurring headaches, get that checked out. If you are having night sweats where you never had night sweats before, that's a change. So that's called a sign. Go get it checked out. It could be nothing. And it could be the early detection of something. So sometimes we put things off, and instead of catching it at the early stages, now it's at the end stage where nothing can be done.
That sounds like the Black community right there. So many times, Mary, we find out that sister so-and-so is in stage 4 cancer. Brother so-and-so is in stage 4 kidney disease. And every time we find these out, it's really sometimes too late to do anything.
Yeah.
And we never hear nobody testify, I got diagnosed with stage 1 cancer. Now we always find out, well, I got diagnosed today with stage 4 cancer. Why do we have that mindset?
I think it's, somebody mentioned it earlier. Nobody really educated us at a young age that we need to do these things. Nobody really set us down and said, they may have said your body is your temple, but what the heck does that mean? If we don't elaborate that this is our machine for our life, we only get one, and that we have to take care of it, and that there are places that we can go to get checked out to make sure we stay healthy. We've been taught to go to the hospital when there's a problem. That's the reason why you see people show up when they're, in excruciating pain, as opposed to when it started. And you'll ask them, well, how long has this been going on? 2 months. 2 months. You've been dealing with this for 2 months. And then there are lots of other reasons why we don't go. Money. Sometimes we don't have access to care. And sometimes, besides being afraid, what's going to happen when we get that bill and we can't pay it, right? So there are lots of other reasons why people don't do it. And it's not really to put shame on people, but just to bring awareness that we can start today. The past is over and done with. There's nothing we can do about that. But starting today, we can go find a place where we can get trained in CPR, and we can learn how to do that. We can go to the doctor next week, next 2 weeks, whenever they can get you in, and get us a clean bill of health and start building from there. And when we have a sign or a symptom, something telling us something is wrong, we don't ignore it.
Okay. Courtney, therapist Courtney Holden from the Center for Actualization, she said, yes, it's important for us to be proactive versus reactive about our health. And then Dr. Cynthia Hipmick, she said, reactive behavior are a huge problem. Do you agree, Nurse Mary?
Yes, it is. And everything, I said at the very beginning, we can fill in the blank. There are other areas, not just healthcare. It just seems like that is the makeup of human beings, to wait, to procrastinate, to put things off. And again, Stephen Covey said, important things don't act on us. We have to be the ones to say, yes, I'm going to do this. We have to step beyond our comfort zone. We have to step into whatever it is that's in front of us and not be afraid.
Mm-hmm. And one question I'm going to ask before you do your demonstration, because we've got men on it. Typically, this seems to be an issue a lot with men too.
Yeah.
What can wives do? What can our sisters do to help our brothers be more proactive in their health? And because we're kind of gonna be like, we're gonna keep working, we're gonna shrug it off. Look, I'm all right. Leave me alone. I'm good. Until it's too late. So what can we do to help the wives be able to get the husband to say, listen, babe, I love you. I need you to go and get this checked out. What can you suggest to them?
Well, number one, lead by example. You can't ask somebody to do something you're not willing to do. And more women are starting to fall into that category where they don't take care of themselves. Number two, schedule the appointment. And then when it's time to go, get them in the car and take them. Yeah. And then when we tell them, make sure that we language it in a way that they know that it's coming from a place of love.
Yes.
Care, concern. Not beating them over the head, making them wrong, but encouragement.
All right. And one more question, which I think this is really good. Really, really good. I'm glad she asked this. And so Marquita said, does stress affect the body? If so, how bad could it be? So stress
can cause you to go into cardiac arrest.
Ooh.
It absolutely can. I remember there was a lady, I'm also a massage therapist, and it was a lady, and I was talking to her over the phone, and she was stressed to the max. Now, stress, in my opinion, is more up here than anywhere. And then when we don't deal with it, it manifests in the form of stroke, cardiovascular disease, heart attack, all of that. And so I told her, well, let me come and give you a massage. And she was like, I can't do it right now, but I'll call you back next week. Next week, she was dead.
Whoa.
Yeah. And, it really tore at my heartstrings because it was like intuitively, I knew that she was at a breaking point. I didn't know she was going to go into cardiac arrest and die. But yeah, she passed away.
Wow. So emotional issues, emotional trauma, emotional hurt, and stress can bring about that cardiac arrest.
Yes, it can. And let me tell you this other story that, is something else that just, it baffles me. And I probably, I'm guilty of it in other areas, but because CPR is so important to me, I make sure I stay up on top of it. So several years ago, I was laying in the bed, I was asleep, and it was about 2, 3 a.m. in the morning, and I hear this loud knock on the door. And I'm not on the door, on the window. And in order for somebody to be knocking on the window, they had to be in the backyard. So I'm startled. So I'm like, who is it? And they were like, come quickly, come quickly. So I jump up, I run out, and it's my neighbor across the street. And she says, it's her husband. And I run into their house, and he's laying on the bed. He's blue. He's, just passed out. And we get him out the bed and, start CPR. Paramedics come. They were lost for a long time. He passed away. And I couldn't sleep because I kept reliving it over and over and over again the whole night, the events that, transpired. And I said, you know what I'm going to do for my subdivision? I'm going to offer free CPR training to anybody who's in the subdivision so they can come and learn. Because it was about 7 or 8 minutes before she even knocked on my door, and another 2 or 3 minutes before I got over there. Way too much time. So we opened it up. They allowed us to use the little community center. And the day of the event, I got all my mannequins set up. I'm ready to go. Not one person showed up.
Wow, that's tragic, but typical.
It's unfortunate because we don't have our priorities straight. And yeah. So, people can see something or experience something really tragic and they still don't shift. So I hope nobody who is listening today will just let this be, oh, that was really good. No, go get trained in CPR. And hopefully you'll never need it.
All right, couple things, demonstration. I'm trying to get these questions in and comments. They are coming in. Atlanta, Rosalind is saying, yes, I know all about stress. I thank God he has got me in a better place. I know my health is more important than anything. All right.
Yes.
Brother Will here from Illinois, he has a question. He said, how does sleep apnea affect us? And is the CPAP machine the only therapy? Will, that is a good one, man. I'm glad you asked that question. I need that answer too.
Now we can get somebody here to talk about sleep apnea, Pastor, if you want. So he wants to know, how does it affect us? You're tired all the time. You're exhausted, and you're not sleeping because you're laying down, and then you stop breathing, and then you catch yourself because the autonomic nervous system kicks in, and then you're like, oh, and you don't realize this, and this is happening all throughout the night. And so when you wake up in the morning, you feel like you haven't slept because you really haven't.
Yeah.
And CPAP helps because it provides that positive pressure that you need that keeps you breathing. Okay. CPAP is a very good tool. Right. And he wants to know, are there other things you can do?
Yes, because honestly, they are not the most, aesthetically looking pleasing things. They can be very uncomfortable, hard to maneuver throughout the night. And, you get kind of all wrapped up in it. And so I can tell you this much. I've seen a number of things, that I wanted to look into, things where now they no longer put it on the face anymore. I know it's something, I think it's called a rise or something like that, where now it's attaching itself to you, Mary. I don't know if you heard any of those things, but I have seen that they're advertising some things where you no longer have to have the mask or even the tube or the cord. So I don't know if you heard about any of the, because he's asked, are there any other things you can use besides that kind of?
I don't know, but I can get you somebody here as an expert to speak to that for sure.
Okay, let's do that. I think we need that. All right.
Somebody who can talk about respiratory disease in general too. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's go to your. You said you had some demonstration that you wanted to show us.
Yes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my camera. Just let me know if you can see over there.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay. So I'm going to. Okay. You probably can't see me, but you can see that. So that's the only thing that's important. Yep. So the first thing you want to do when you walk in is you're going to check to make sure the scene is safe. Why do we do that? Because we're the most important person. And this person could have gotten electrocuted. The live wire could still be on them. The moment I touch them, I become a victim. So we always check, make sure the scene is safe for us. And if it's safe for us, then we're going to check responsiveness. I want to know, are they meditating or are they unresponsive? So to check responsiveness, you do two things. You tap and shout. Hey, are you all right? Are you okay? If they don't respond, you look around and see if anybody's there and you say, call 911, get an AED. You don't want to say, call the paramedics. You don't want to say, call emergency services. You want to say 911. Be crystal clear because they may go call the police. After you have somebody do that, you're going to look for signs of life, like breathing. If they're breathing, their chest will rise and fall up and down. That's inhaling and exhaling. If you don't see any breathing whatsoever, then you're going to start with chest compressions. To do chest compressions, you take the heel of your hand and you're going to put it in the center of the chest on the lower half. You don't want to be way up here at the top. You want to be near the nipple line. Okay? And then use this hand for support. Get up over them, lock your elbows, and then press down hard and fast 30 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 5, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. And then if you feel comfortable, you can give them breaths. Now, if you don't feel comfortable or confident, just continue doing chest compressions until paramedics arrive. We call that hands-only CPR. Okay? Now, for somebody I love, I'm going to push the head back. I'm going to pinch off the nose. I'm going to cover my mouth completely over their mouth. And I'm going to take in a breath and blow until I see visible rise and fall in the chest. And then I'm going to do it again. Then I'm going to go back to compressions. 30 compressions, 2 breaths. 30 compressions, 2 breaths until help arrives or I pass out from exhaustion. So help could be the AED. AED stands for Automated External Defibrillator. As soon as the AED arrives, use it. Never delay defibrillation. So if you're on number 2, don't go to 30. Stop, turn it on, and listen to what it says and just follow the instructions. Okay? So I'm going to turn it on.
Apply pads to patient's bare chest.
Can you hear it?
We can hear that real good.
After, next to flashing light.
It said apply the pads. If I don't hear it, it's going to keep telling me until I do it.
Okay.
So I'm going to take these pads. I'm going to peel it off.
Apply pads.
And I'm going to put it on exactly where I see it in the picture. Once I get the pads on, I'm going to take this little connector and I'm going to plug it into the machine.
Analyzing heart rhythm. Do not touch the patient.
It's analyzing to see if a shock is necessary.
Shock advised. Charging. Stay clear of patient. Deliver shock now. Press the orange button now.
So this button is just blinking. Can you see it?
Yep.
So I'm going to check to make sure it's safe.
Deliver
Make
shock
sure
now.
I don't get shocked,
Press the
nobody
orange
else.
button now.
Clear.
Shock delivered.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Begin
5,
CPR.
6, 7, 8, 9, all the way back up to 30 to 2, 30 to 2. I'm never going to cut this off. Leave it on. Every 2 minutes, it's going to come back on and see if
Okay.
another shock is indicated.
Okay.
Okay. And then if you have a child, you're going to do the exact same thing, except for you're going to use the heel of one hand instead of two hands. If your upper body is weak and you can't get down 2 inches with one hand, use two. Okay. So let me show you what the infant looks like. That's the adult.
All right, Erica, you watching? She's talking about the infant now.
The infant is from birth to 1. So if they're 1 to puberty, it's child CPR. That's where you're going to use the heel of one hand. And I'll show you. So this is the child. And you're just going to use the heel of one hand. But you're going to do everything else I just showed you. The infant, they're not fully developed. So when you get ready to determine unresponsiveness, you wouldn't do it up here. It could cause shaken baby syndrome. You tap them on the bottom of the foot, make them cry. Are you all right, baby? Are you all right? If they start crying, it's you. You got an active imagination. Calm down. Okay?
Okay.
If they don't respond, then you know there's a problem, right? So what you're going to do is just like you did with the adult, you're going to check to see if they're breathing. You will know if they're breathing if there's visible rise and fall in the chest. If not, you're going to take 2 fingers, not one hand, not 2 hands, 2 fingers. You're going to look for the nipple line. And you're going to pretend there's an imaginary line connecting the nipples together. You're going to be right up under that line with 2 fingers, and you're going to go down 1.5 inches 30 times. And then you're going to give 2 breaths. When you give your breaths, you're going to cover your mouth over their nose and their mouth. Okay? And you're going to look for visible rise and fall, and you're going to do it again. 30 to 2, 30 to 2. Any questions?
Let's see here.
I figured somebody would ask, can you use an AED on an infant? Yes.
Yes, that was Erica. Let's say here, Courtney wants to know, she said, does it have to be exactly 30 times that you press on the chest?
Well, there are guidelines. So American Heart Association establishes the guidelines based on science and research. And typically 30 is probably going to be the best range. But if you get to 28 and you're off, no problem. If you get to 15 and you're off, no problem. If you get to 35 and you're like, oh, shoot, I forgot. No problem. They're just guidelines. But typically you want to do 30 to 2.
Okay. And as it relates to the AED, let's see here. Someone had a question about the cost. Kimberly Neal wants to know, how much are AEDs?
Well, they're relatively inexpensive now. An AED can be purchased with a prescription from your doctor if you have known cardiovascular disease, and your insurance will typically pick it up. If not, you can purchase a really, really good AED for under $1,000.
Okay.
And I mean, you can't put a price on life, right?
You're absolutely right. All right, let's see what else we have here. Deb James is saying there are several types of AED, from family and home use to professional. The closest to professional, the more the cost. The closest to professional, the more the cost. So that professional one, Mary, would that take them over the 1,000 or get them closer to the 1,000?
Well, I'm saying average. So you can get you a really, really good professional AED for about $1,000.
Okay.
And I like Laridol, or this one right here is Heart Start. This is the to me one of the best on the market. And then there's Medtronic. It's a really good one as well.
Okay.
But they all talk to you and tell you what to do. It's just getting comfortable with it.
Tippy is asking, she said, can you show the baby demonstration again for her? A lot of them got grandkids now. We got a little 4-year-old. She's got a grandchild. I'm sure many others have. And this is something that we need to know. So can we kind of give her, I know she
I'll
may
tell
have
you
missed
what
it.
I'll do, Pastor, since we're almost out of time, I'm willing to host a complimentary CPR class on Zoom. And then I own an American Heart Association training center, and they can go to any of our training centers across the United States and get trained.
All right. I think that's a wonderful offer. A couple more questions. First Lady Sandy wants to know, up to what age do you use one hand for infants or a baby? What about toddlers? Is there a difference?
Yes. So the infant is from birth to 1. That's 2 fingers. Because they're small, they're underdeveloped. And then the child is 1 to puberty. Now, if you look at the kid and they're unresponsive, of course, they can't wake up and say, I'm 9. No. So you're going to look for signs of puberty. If they are a male and they have hair, facial hair, chest hair, underarm hair, do adult CPR. If not, heal with 1 hand. Females, breast development. If they have breast development, do adult. If not, do 1 hand or 2 hands on the child. Okay.
For the benefit of those that may be concerned about costs or got questions about there, Greg is asking, are there agencies that donate or assist with the cost of AEDs to churches? That's a good question, Greg. I'd like to have that information.
There's several. As a matter of fact, I keep a list because I get emails occasionally from organizations that's willing to pay for it, not only for churches, but nonprofit organizations. And I keep this list, and I'll make sure that I put GWC on that list. And what happens is when I get the email, I have to send it out right then and there because they go fast. So As soon as you get it, fill it out, send it in. And
GWC Ministry needs to have one.
All right. We'll put you on the list.
All right. Now let me ask you this, Mary. I see this in some buildings. Is it the law that says that there needs to be an AED sign in the facility, or can you just have it and when it's time to get it, somebody retrieves it? But is it required to have it visible? People know that you have one on site.
It depends, and it varies from state to state, but I will tell you this, it is federally mandated that AEDs be in federal buildings. So like if you go to the airport, you're gonna see AEDs. If you go to any federal building whatsoever, they're required. And then from state to state, depending on the occupancy of buildings, if you have some buildings, if you have more than 100 people in that building, you're required to have an AED.
Okay. All right. Military chapel. I think, Deb, are you saying that military chapels will be willing to provide it, or maybe you can clarify that for us? All right. While she's doing that, I want to make sure I've gotten to everybody before we close out. Deb is also saying pads are not reusable, but can be purchased separately. I think somebody had asked a question earlier about, can you get other pad? Eric was asked, and she said, thank you. Can you reuse the pads?
Typically not, because once you take it off, that stickiness is gone. Now you see my pads are for training use, so we reuse them until we just don't stick anymore. But you're going to be using brand new pads. And typically in the AED machine, it comes with 2 sets, because if you have somebody with a hairy chest and you put those pads on, you're going to rip it off to get the hair off if it won't stick good. Yeah. So then you use the second set of pads.
Okay, so I have a question, because this is what was told to me during the CPR training we got, because we were concerned, and a couple of people said it earlier about, being concerned about hurting the person. maybe applying too much pressure. But the fireman told us, he said, of course, a older, grown person, not a toddler, but he said, listen, that pressure, you got to be careful, but sometimes you may have to apply enough, and there are cases where there might be a slight rib cage fracture. But he said, well, it's better that you save their life. He said a rib cage can be healed. He said, but it's better that you save their life. So what do you say about that?
Absolutely. Injury is better than death any day. You can break your arm, right? What happens if you break your arm? It heals. Same thing if you crack somebody's rib. When they finish and they recover, they're going to thank you. Thank you for breaking my ribs, because they're alive.
Okay. Atlanta says their library, they said a state of the libraries in Atlanta, we just got an email about our AED machine at the library. Want to make sure we know how to use it. Thank you. This training was very helpful.
Oh, good. Good.
All right. All right. So do we have any questions left for Mary? Anything at all before we kind of wrap it up? We definitely appreciate you all's participation, and we certainly want to make sure you get all of your questions answered. So go ahead. If you got one, go ahead and put it in there. Mary's real good with presentations, so she can knock out your questions pretty quickly. And while she's doing that, Mary, is there anything that you want to, again, tell us? Anything that you think we still need to know?
Get trained. Just go schedule the class and get trained. And what we'll do is, Pastor, you and I will look at some dates and find the time we can jump on Zoom, and I'll give them a thorough training so they can walk away with confidence. Because most people, even after they take a CPR class, they don't have confidence. So you want to have two things: competence, meaning the skill set, and confidence that you can actually do it in an emergency. And you don't need to be perfect. You're buying them time until the paramedics arrive.
Okay. All right. I just want to let you know, so because you won't be able to see maybe so from where you're sitting, the things that are being said. First Lady said, excellent teaching and education. Thank you, Mary. Courtney from the Center of Self-Actualization says, really appreciate this information. Very helpful. Thank you. Greg Turner says, thanks for the information. And just everyone, Dr. Hickman says, well done, Mary. I appreciate you. So that's right. Let our presenter know how much we appreciate her time and her. Erica saying, yes, excellent information. Thanks. That's right. We want to go ahead and say thank you, Mary. Let her know how much we appreciate her. Listen, I would if you all have my question. Look, I could stay on forever. You know what, Mary? I say this all the time, and y'all probably say, well, y'all pastors always say that, but sometimes I feel like when it comes to the church, nowadays, it's like everything is so rush when it comes to giving out information that's going to be useful, that's helpful, that's necessary. People don't seem to have time for that. Yeah. Yet they will take a Thursday night or a Friday night and binge watch, 5 seasons of something.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to something like this, it's like, okay, let's start. We tapping the risk. We looking at the wall. Let's wrap this up. And I'm like, this is life-saving information right here. The advertisement we promoted, we said, if somebody were to collapse in front of you, what would you do? Would you know what to do? That is a question that we're not able to answer. We need to get the answer to that, because if you don't have an answer, then the answer is no.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we don't want to take the time to, stick around and take a couple hours to hear something that's going to save our lives. But we do want to respect people's time and yours. So Erica always says that she's faithful she says, I make time for e-health night.
Right.
Tippy says CPR is very important. And Mary is so you may not notice, but she is the source. She is the reason that we have all of these wonderful healthcare professionals come to you. We've been doing this now, Mary, probably since I think we launched last June or July, somewhere up there. And she is responsible for getting us all of these healthcare professionals from around the country, many of which are on with us tonight. So certainly we want to thank Mary for that, because I don't know these. I don't have those resources. She partners with me with her vast network, and she has already got us set up with healthcare professional e-health nights all the way up until June and July, and going there. She's on top of it. You will not have to worry about will there be an e-health night one Thursday a month, because Mary is going to make sure we have qualified, certified, licensed professionals that are doing this for a living. So thank you for Mary. I wanted everybody to know that not only are you a healthcare professional, but you are the reason why we have all of these wonderful professionals coming on. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for doing this, Pastor, because I don't know any other churches that does this. This is incredible. This is a benefit to your community. And the fact that it's live and it's going to be on YouTube, so people who couldn't be here tonight can go back and watch it and learn some things. So I acknowledge you for your generosity, your love, the care for your community. It's just amazing.
Well, look, God gave this to me and it's been on my heart. And I know, people say, well, is it spiritual or is it natural? Well, our ministry, we're designed to empower people for great works. And you cannot do great works for God if you're sick, if you broke down, if you in stage this and stage that, and church people tend to want to do a lot in church, but they don't want to take care of their bodies so that they can continue to be able to work for the kingdom. God needs his people healthy so we can go out there and make others healthy. So that's why this is very, very important to me that we do this. So, and like Mary said, if you are not, if you are somebody, they couldn't make it tonight, go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, like, and share, comment. Listen, put some comments on the YouTube channel about what you saw tonight, what you heard tonight. Encourage those YouTubers to say, listen, go get trained. CPR is important. Get your AED. Think about your heart. So put those out there so they can see the church is concerned about that too. We're not just trying to get you in our buildings and get your money and all of that and get you in the seats. We are concerned about you too. And if you all will help GWC Ministries out by doing that on your social media platforms, sharing this, letting people know what tonight was like and what you learned, and that will be so helpful to us. All right. So thank you, everybody. And we always ask that if you could be a blessing. God bless Brother Caleb with us tonight, Brother Lula, so many of you all that were with us. I saw Dr. Marilyn Crosby was with us on tonight. Had a wonderful time with her a month ago. So I'm just so excited that these professionals, they don't just come on for themselves, but they all come on and support their peers and their colleagues. And I think that's showing the Black community that we have. This is Black History Month, so I can put it in there, that we have African-American healthcare professionals who are there and available to help each other, and they're supporting us so we can all be good, heart, healthy people at the same time while our soul is also prospering in God. All right. So we ask that everybody, if you be so kind, in order for us to continue to bring you this type of content, if you could just be a blessing to us, and just, if everybody could just sow a $10 seed. I'm going to put the information on the screen. If you can just sow a $10 seed. I know people tend to think that online ministry, well, what do you need money for online ministry for? Well, I want to let you know it costs to bring you the technology. It costs you to have the internet. It costs us to have the resources, all of that. So we are only able to do it because you and our Empower partners especially donates. So here's the information on the screen: Cash App, Zelle, Giblify. And now Mary, I always try. Look, if I try to give her anything, she's going to give it back. But I want you all to know that we want to give her something. So please, let's let her see. Because if you wouldn't got this somewhere else, they probably would have charged you. But she's doing this of her own volition, her own love. And I still want to be a blessing to her. Even if she does give it back, I want to be a blessing to her. So if everybody can sow at least a $10 seed tonight, I think that'll be a blessing. All right. With that being said, I want to pray us out. Gracious Heavenly Father, we always acknowledge you, God, because we're only doing this because you allowed us to do this, because it's your power, it's your desire that your people be healthy, God. And we pray, oh God, for everyone that's on the line, everyone that will view this later tonight, next week, and they will come to the realization that you want them to be healthy, but they have faith in you, but your word said faith without works is dead, being left alone. We can't just keep praying about getting healthy. We have to do the things to go and get healthy, and then you will bless us. I pray that you look on Mary, oh God, that you would give her back everything she gave tonight. Bless her business, bless her establishment. She has an upcoming workshop, Lord. I would that you just flood her workshop with new people, new businesses that she can continue to help. And I thank you for this platform. We thank you for your word. And if anybody is not saved, listen, you can repeat this prayer after me. Say, Father, I'm sorry for every sin I've ever committed. Wash me in your blood. I denounce Satan and I accept you as my Lord and Savior. My brother, my sister, if you prayed that simple prayer, we believe you got born again. Come be a part of a Bible believing church. We believe GWC Ministries is that church. If you're in the Chicagoland area, we'll be looking for a facility so we can bring you to, but you can meet us online every Thursday at 7 p.m. and then Sunday morning, 9 o'clock and 11:30 online at 11:30. And we're going to minister to your soul and your body. All right. With that being said, thank you again, Mary. We love you. We appreciate you. You all, this is my coach here. She keeps me in line. Y'all, look, she keep her brother in line. I'm going to just put it like that. But I need that, and I appreciate that so much. And she's such a help to this ministry and to our family. So God bless you, Mary. We will see you on the next time.
Okie dokie. Bye-bye.
All right.